Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerJoob, and welcome back to our Five Nights at Freddy's character concept series. So in today's video, the character we're looking into is Orah the Orca Whale. So we're going into this character's location, gameplay mechanics, backstory, and all that good stuff as well. As always, I will just state that this isn't necessarily linked to the overall universe and lore of Fnaf. This is just a fun, creepy story we get to tell, and we hope you enjoy. And lastly, before we start today's video, do be sure to subscribe to GamerJoob as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. It also keeps you up to date with all the videos that we post. Alrighty everyone, well let's get into the character concept of Orah the Orca Whale. So in our previous videos, we've explored the North Pole Pizzeria, an Arctic themed restaurant with a number of frosty themed attractions and characters. So far the characters we've met have been Patrick the Polar Bear, Preston the Penguin, Wilbur the Walrus, and Axel the Arctic Fox. Each of these twisted animatronics has been hell-bent on attacking the player. The player has done their best to fend off each and every one of their attacks. But now the nervous employee faces their 5th night as the temporary night guard. And with a new night shift comes a new character. And the new character we're introducing is Orah the Orca Whale. So, hence the name, Orah was modelled after the killer whales of the Arctic. She was given the classic black and white colour scheme just like the orcas. Her head was predominantly larger than most of the other characters at the pizzeria. She was given a dorsal fin, sharp pointy teeth, and large bright pink eyes. So, Orah's role up on stage was that of the accordion player. She would be up on stage playing her toy-like accordion with the rest of the band. Orah was considered to be a crowd favourite amongst all the guests. All the children loved seeing her friendly face up on stage. That was before her horrible incident happened for all to see. So apart from playing up on stage and walking around greeting the children, Orah was quite the happy-go-lucky animatronic. She was well behaved and didn't cause the staff any trouble at all. In fact, out of all the characters, Orah was the repair worker's favourite animatronic to work on. She wouldn't twitch or spring to life and attack them, she would just sit there and happily get worked on with ease. At night, when all the characters were put into their free roam setting, Orah would just wander around here and there, not causing any mischief or mayhem. But this would all change for the worst soon enough. So on that unfortunate day, we return to the employee. At this time, they weren't working as the temporary night guard. In fact, their position was at the prize counter for the arcade. This was the time when the night guard was still employed. Or better put, hasn't disappeared yet. So the disturbing fact about Orah's incident was that the employee witnessed it themselves. In fact, everyone witnessed it, including the poor children. So it's well known by now that Freddy Fazbear restaurants aren't strangers to saving a few bucks here and there. They were known for cutting corners due to their small budgets. This cost-saving mentality was also applied to the set and decorations. More specifically, the large hanging icicles above the stage. The icicles were made of a heavy and sturdy fiberglass material. The only thing is, they weren't exactly installed in the proper way. Instead of being fastened in correctly, they were instead glued to the stage ceiling. The cheap contractors ensured that this would be enough to hold them. But it turns out they were very wrong indeed. Over time, one large icicle in particular started to wiggle itself loose. It was only a matter of time before it broke free and severely injured somebody. And unfortunately that day was today. So whilst Orah was playing up on stage, the large icicle finally broke free. It came crashing down and drove itself through Orah's head. It happened in an instant. If you blink, you'd miss it. The room was suddenly filled with screams as the friendly looking whale stood there with a large icicle embedded in their skull. The staff members quickly rushed all the children and guests out of the area. Orah was severely malfunctioning whilst up on stage. The workers quickly shut her down before any more damage could be done. Orah was then placed in the repair room until they could figure out what they would do with her. They were instructed not to remove the icicle or else it might cause more damage. So Orah was left alone in the storage room until they could figure out what they could do. But eventually that time in the repair room got longer and longer. As time went by, Orah's body got more withered and worn. She began to grow crazy, having this large icicle sticking out of her head. Sometimes the employees would shut her down, but most of the time they needed to keep her awake and moving, or else her joints and motors would seize up. After a while, Orah couldn't take it anymore. She planned to face the night guard and see if they could help them. Whenever she approached the door, the night guard would shut it in her face. This only made Orah more confused and angry. But now the night guard has mysteriously disappeared, Orah might try her luck with the new temporary employee night guard. Maybe they might be able to remove this unsightly icicle. But chances were, they would most likely avoid them and close the door. And that's exactly what the employee was instructed to do. By no means were they ever allowed to let any animatronics inside the security office. And second of all, the staff members were instructed not to remove the icicle. So it was only a matter of time before Orah was let down again by another night guard. So after all this time, it surprised no one that the restaurant hasn't done anything to fix the dangling icicles. They were waiting until they could find the cheapest possible contractor to secure them much tighter. But eventually, they just made the employee do it. So that was their task before their night shift. They had to screw down the icicles to ensure that they stayed put. Whilst doing this, they came across another strange VHS tape. It was just laying up there in the rafters. This was beginning to get stranger and stranger. Who was leaving these tapes around the pizzeria? It was almost like they were planted just there for them to find. After they were done with the icicles, they then placed the tape into the VCR. Who knows what they were going to see this time? This is starting to get out of hand. The employee wonders if they should tell anyone about these tapes. But if they did that, then the police would probably search every nook and cranny and find these tapes. Then they'd all be confiscated, and then the employee would never know what happened. And they needed to know what happened. It was unlike them, but they just had to know for themselves. Regardless, their shift was starting soon and they needed to get ready. The employee would need to be extra alert, as this would be the night that Orah would attempt to get them to remove the icicle, by any means necessary. So now we come to the gameplay segment of the video. As always, the gameplay loop is based on the classic Fnaf formula of observation and management. So the player needs to keep an eye out for Orah and the other characters. Orah's starting position would be in the repair room. She would begin to move as soon as the night shift started. This was mainly when the player was looking at the security footage. there wouldn't be any telltale signs that she was approaching. 1 second the player would watch the cameras, and the next Orah would be at the door. She would wait at the end of the hallway, and her movement would be triggered as soon as the player looks. When the player first shuts the door on Orah, she would begin to get frustrated and offended. She'd be angry that the employee didn't want to help her. This would cause her movements to become faster and appear more frequently. The player would need to keep up with her attempts and avoid letting her in, because if they didn't, they'd be greeted with a classic Fnaf jump scare. So I think Orah is a great addition to the North Pole Pizzeria. She's once again a poor animatronic who suffered a horrible accident and is displeased with the night guard. This fits in perfectly with the story of Fnaf and lends much more to our overall story. Alrighty everyone, well that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing, as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. As always, let us know in the comment section down below what you thought of Orah the Orca Whale and what you'd like to see going forward. Alrighty everyone, well until the next video, catch you later, bye.